Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scott Hagness. This is the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. Scott, how goes it?
It's going pretty good here.
You have a Los Blazers jacket on. Is that the Portland Trail Blazers?
Yeah. I got some sort of a little one-off sweatshirt. I write programming for one of the assistant coaches for the Blazers, so I get some cool swag and various things once in a while. So.
There you go. Every once in a while, they throw you a little something, throw you a bone.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, obviously we plunge on here, and we are now into week 3 of the Open. We are over the hump. Scott, we had a single dumbbell being used on some overhead walking lunges, some dumbbell step-ups, 50 strict handstand push-ups, and then we had a handstand walk to close it out. This was a for-time workout with a 10-minute time cap. Scott, first impressions of the workout when you saw it?
Well, I sort of wish that I was competing and could try it, but yeah, and that we were drastically wrong on our estimates or guesses on this is the side note. I think of all the years we've done this has been our worst accuracy guessing as far as what's coming up. But this interesting challenge, a few different movements, and dumbbell step-ups like that are no joke.
Nope.
Some folks basically look like weighted pistols. So we got
depending on the height of the individual.
Yep. Some sort of shorter individuals. It was definitely way below parallel start there. Little simpler handstand push-up standard. That was kind of nice to see, at least just from a perspective of judging, not having to, dial all the height and the stuff in. But of course, that allows for a little interpretation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was an entertaining one to watch and judge and be part of in some ways.
Yep, definitely. So, question, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
You know me fairly well. How do you think I did on this workout?
Well, I'm going to guess. Well, of course, you've repositioned yourself so much. I would have suspected that there would have been some issues with back stability with the lunges and the hip shifting that would happen on the step-ups. Am I still right, or is that?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, you're right. The hip shifting and stability stuff has definitely gotten better over the years, so that wasn't nearly as much of an issue for this. So you're on the right track.
Yeah, very cool. Handstand push-ups went okay.
They did.
Handstand walking did not go so okay.
No. So I finished the handstand push-ups, and that was 7 reps shy of, or was it 12 reps shy of finishing the workout? 13 reps shy.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of handstand walking to go. I got done with the dumbbell stuff, with the step-ups and that kind of stuff at 5:18. And then I was done with the handstand push-ups at the 8-minute mark. So it took me about 2 minutes and 42 seconds to bang out the handstand push-ups.
Nice.
So it gave me 2 minutes to do the handstand walk. I kicked up into the handstand, almost killed myself, gave myself an extra 10 seconds, and then just kind of started going unbroken with like about a 10-second rest between 20-foot increments, 25-foot increments. So, yeah, that was obviously my best performance in the Open thus far, and pretty indicative of all of my strengths in a workout. Fairly decent, aerobic capacity, along with, very, very good strength to body weight ratio. And I got to exploit that on this one.
That's a good one. Yeah, your engine should have been great for to cruise through the first portion of the workout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No real issue there. I mean, the dumbbell, if it was 2 dumbbells, I would have gotten smashed just because the weight's just too much. I mean, I'd built to a relatively heavy single in the front squat today, and 245 was good for today. So I definitely don't have any strength in my legs, but I've done enough volume over time, and my body weight is where it needs to be, and my positions are good enough where, I was just banging out sets of 5, no problem, until I think the last 10 reps where I started doing like 3, 3, 2, 2, and just to keep going.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, definitely this workout, when you look at it, is not a big guy workout, right?
No. No.
And it is
Yeah.
definitely not it's a kind of a sweet spot in terms of the height of the athlete as well. You want them tall enough where the step ups aren't going to be much of an issue, but not so tall as the handstand push ups become the issue. So we're looking at
Right.
guys who are in that 5'7" to 5'10" range, probably,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with good aerobic capacity, good enough to kind of like get into um, the handstand push-up stuff with relatively little fatigue, and then obviously it's just upper body pushing muscular endurance on this workout.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yep.
any surprises for you on your end there, Scott, watching it or judging it, coaching it?
I don't know if there was anything that I wasn't expecting
What do you
going
think of the
in. I
workout in
thought that
general?
um, I I kind of enjoyed. I think it was a pretty reasonable test that if we're trying to bring in variety's sake, right, and
Yeah, new movement.
new movements, definitely good for exposing any sort of asymmetries. Like for example, I had one athlete that had to do a majority of the handstand or not handstand, the lunges with one arm because one side they were far more difficult. So there's a better trade off to go ahead and just hammer the one arm
Yep.
and try and yeah. So that was really it was enough weight to expose that where you couldn't necessarily fudge through it um, with just real bent arm or something like sometimes will happen on those periscope lunges. And then yeah, definitely upper body pushing endurance, and we always see these, right? That's kind of they're you're always going to see one where you have two movements paired that are non-complementary, so it's coming.
Yep.
And in a way, you could say three here. You gave the shoulders a little bit of a break on the step ups, but they're supporting weight, and you got to do handstand push-ups. Then you got to walk on them if you can.
Yeah. So the other thing is we're starting to obviously understand what the open is like, and there's a lot of interference when it comes to things like grip or maybe holding a dumbbell overhead with also then being able to do handstand push-ups afterward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has to be a consideration when we are programming for athletes in the sport of fitness. It can't be a majority of it, but we have to understand that is the sport.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Working from a very compromised ability, potentially from fatigue, from certain local factors such as grip and other.
Yep. And like things like double unders and then ring muscle ups or bar muscle ups. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. Yep. Another pairing there that would be. There's so many, but grip is one I think that gets maybe undertrained or underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Even though people will complain all the time, "Oh, my grip was blown up on that," but then how often do you see training necessarily to improve that? Where you whether that be fat bar work or bar hangs or holding a weight at the like deadlift, and then you have to hold it for X amount of seconds on the last rep before you can put it down. Or
Yep. So obviously treating it like a skill first.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously integrating that into more contractions, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, now we play the game of we're now 6 months away from this workout. What assessment pieces are you looking at to ensure that this athlete maximizes their score? Again, we're looking at an athlete, let's say on the male side of this, who is getting they're able to do about 20 to 25 strict handstand push-ups. They are, and again, they have basic aerobic capacity and what else for this particular workout? And they have some ability to do handstand walks. They're not a gymnast, but they're definitely not a novice where they can't do any handstand walking. So what are your thoughts on approaching how to assess and how to train this athlete over the next 6 months in order for them to maximize their score?
Yeah, this would be a fun one. It has a lot of pieces to it, unlike some of the earlier ones we talked about that were a tad more simplistic. So I would probably almost treat everything separate and do assessments that would be specific to each of those movements. So some sort of a test of where they're at with the handstand walking, which is going to be developed primarily through skill work, of course, in a non-fatigue setting early on and then later in a fatigue setting. Handstand push-ups. I would look at it from a handful of angles. So you already said we have maybe 20, 25 unbroken. That would be one thing I'd find out. What is their max unbroken when they're
And
fresh?
what's the quality of movement as well?
And what's it look like? Another one I use in a case like this is depends on the athlete, but this athlete sounds like he could handle this. Would be like 100 handstand push-ups for time. When the time is one of the things you can look to improve, but I'm really more looking at fatigue patterns and how they pace and what happens.
What their output is over time. Do they start off with a set of 20 and then start doing 10 and then 5 and then 1, 1, 1, 1 for another 100 reps?
Yeah, that could really give a lot of useful information. Plus, also watching what does fatigue. So this would be one you couldn't just have them do and give you a time, and that's all you need. You want to know how it was broken, and ideally see it on video or in person.
Yep.
To see what was going on, and then potentially. And I actually had this conversation over text like about an hour ago with another coach, and we did have an athlete. They were looking to improve this. The other one I would look at as belly to wall strict handstand push-ups, just as both to see their structural balance in an optimal position and to see if they actually are strong enough, or if that's something that could be addressed early on. And then as far as the other movements, looking at using the overhead lunge as an assessment to see, is this person leaking a lot of energy because they're in an extended pattern, which is going to punish you in that one, or what can we work on to improve that position? I'm going to guess that it wouldn't really be a strength issue if this athlete is already at that level that you kind of laid out, but it's going to be more of a technique and position for that particular one, becoming efficient in that. Step-ups would be the one that would be, of course, the least applicable, but we would definitely want to train that movement specifically and become quite proficient at it, knowing it was coming up in an event in six months.
Yeah, looking at some at integrating it into some mixed modal training for aerobic power, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Getting comfortable with patterning the feet and having the dumbbell in that rack position.
Yep, getting in that position, being very aerobic and efficient through the movements. Like anything, I'm sure there's a number of things that can really be improved there. Just the unfamiliarity of a movement sometimes causes wasting of energy to complete it. But yeah, and all these pieces then you could put into various mixed modal forms, maybe where they're rotating through much smaller rather than a chipper like this was. The more cyclic pattern, lots of things to get touches, but you have plenty of time to improve the strict handstand push-up, practice that standard if we knew it, and get good at all those things.
Yeah, I think this one, above all the other ones, rewards good movement.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that jumped out at me when I looked at the workout. I was like, okay, this will be, a good mover is going to do well at this one. This is one that will separate out the people that get by with brute force.
Yep.
Not that at the elite level there's anybody that doesn't have good movement really, but it's a good way to separate out those that don't.
I mean, that being said, there were some bigger athletes who couldn't get away with good movement and weren't able to actually get through the handstand push-ups, and basically their season's over.
Yeah.
I mean, just because there's going to be so many smaller athletes that get through the handstand push-ups, like I'm beating guys who are either on team or games athletes on this workout. That's impossible. That really can't happen. And I think if you are a bigger athlete, it means that you should be hammering your movement quality even more because of workouts like this.
Right. Yeah, you have more even more to gain potentially.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, just because you have so much more to lose when something like this comes up.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the opposite side of the spectrum, and let's look at the females on this side. Let's take a look at an athlete who's right around that 140-pound body weight, decent aerobic capacity, but now we're looking like they might have 3 to 5 strict handstand push-ups, unbroken, and decent overhead mobility, but obviously lacks absolute strength. What's your approach here for this athlete?
Yeah, well, that would be difficult to get a great performance even in 6 months, probably, but certainly make some improvements. And there, we break down the handstand push-up. Of course, get some benchmarks, basically the same. I wouldn't do 100 for time, of course. That's where I would pick a more reasonable for this athlete.
Maybe like 50?
Yeah. Yeah, and just keep that test consistent. But looking oftentimes, assuming, say you said that she has good mobility, I'm going to guess maybe there's some stability issues that we would work on in the foundational phase. And then these have to be, a program focused around developing that ability, both the actual movement that we're trying to improve, but the supportive pulling muscles and scapular, straight arm strength as well.
That's a good point. Now, what about this athlete in terms of their ability to, would you actually try to get her stronger in her upper body, or do you just focus on the gymnastics component and just get her stronger at pushing? Do you need to really, hit the weights to get her stronger in her pressing, or do you really just focus gymnastics-wise body weight training?
I would probably, in this particular instance, I would probably go with primarily all gymnastics work.
Yep.
Now, this is, of course, if we were training for this event only, it's 6 months out, and, it isn't that she necessarily would need to have a lot of, be really great at jerking and such. Yep. I would definitely do weight training, but I would go with specificity as much as possible.
Okay. And speaking of which,
they certainly can be different.
Yep.
Even just myself as an example, I've always been really good at handstand push-ups of all forms, but my actual pressing, strict pressing, etc., has never been great. So you can develop one without necessarily having the other.
So, what would that look like then in terms of training the gymnastics to get her better at handstand push-ups? How would you progress that over time there, Scott, after an assessment phase, after seeing she has maybe, let's say, 5 strict in a row? What do we do from there? Do we work on more volume? Do we work on trying to get bigger sets? Do we work on capacity? What are your thoughts?
I think I would start by working volume. So I would probably use a slightly regressed movement, like a good strict piped handstand push-up where we can get a little more time under tension and more reps, and going there for a block of work, and then transitioning that over using the handstand back to the handstand push-up probably as some intensification work. And then hopefully then after that, if things have gone good, then we can do some more volume work, but now with the actual movement we're trying to improve. I like, for someone, again, who has them, this would be a perfect example. 3 to 5 range is where I would use positional isometrics. So slow eccentric, hold your head hovering just off the ground, build isometric strength there, because one of the things that I feel like makes this a very powerful movement is being able to understand how to gather tension and force at the bottom of your rep and rebound it back up. So if that's a very weak position, you can't create a ton of irradiation and strength to come back up from your reps there. So I use that with athletes a fair amount, building time at the bottom or in the mid-range. Would depend a little bit on sticking points, bent arm, handstand holds against the wall, basically. And then back into, again, more dynamic work after strengthening that phase. So those would be some progressions that you could use.
I like that a lot. That's a really, really good idea there, Scott. And as we get closer and closer to competition time, how does the training change there?
So then it's going to have to move into a more specific setting to the event. Now we're going to be doing more mixed modal work, sometimes coming in fatigued from various other things, and even pieces of, again, because we know we're training for this, we're going to use all these elements. We're going to do some overhead lunges and build and test the ability going forward with under fatigue and with unknown challenges.
Yep, definitely. I think that's a really good way to think about it, and I like those thoughts on building that gymnastics ability with the isometrics. I think that's something that I don't really focus on as much, but for this, I think it's fairly applicable, especially with an athlete who doesn't have huge upper body pressing capacity. And I would imagine that there's probably good carryover into other things like the Olympic lifts, as long as we're actually doing it with correct technique.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do think positional isometrics are just vastly underutilized. Just a similar note, because it's probably coming up next week or the one after. I've seen great results having folks do false grip lockoffs on the chest, building time. And it makes a way to build that transition phase just amazing. Get to where you can do some repeated 30-second holds there. You won't have much issue, at extension doing that. And then you actually can do truly controlled eccentric muscle ups, no free fall coming through the transition, which then leads over to the ability to do solid strict muscle ups.
Yeah, you gave me that a while back to build up my muscle up strength, and I still have it. Like, I still have a false grip hang. I still have a 10-second concentric into a 10-second turnover into a 10-second dip. I still have that stuff, and it's stuck. So I could definitely attest to the isometric work there.
Yeah, I think it builds in some neural programming, because the positions I've gained it into, same thing, I don't lose it. I never do handstand push-ups, but I can demo and hold my head hovering off the floor and hold a conversation with someone. It's like, it's not, once you have it, you kind of have it, and it's just there.
So now we are done through 3 weeks, Scott, and we are probably getting into our last 2 weeks here. What are your thoughts on where we're going from here?
Well, I was dead wrong last time. I would say the three things that we have not seen at all, 3 categories we haven't seen. We know that a thruster there's never been a thrusterless open, and they're always in week 5, so we can probably assume we have thrusters in week 5 again. We have not seen any form of pull-up or muscle-up yet. Those have got to be looming. Often, of course, the pull-ups are in there with the thrusters. And we haven't seen any snatch or overhead squat-based things either. So I'd be shocked if the final 2 weeks are not built around those things in some way. So I'll go out on a limb. And we kind of talked about this last week. I'm still holding it up for this next week, but there was a workout with overhead squats, muscle ups, and burpees. Now, there was an old one in 2011, maybe, 2012. Since we've already had a repeat, I don't know that we'll see that exact one, but that's still my call.
Overhead squats.
And muscle ups.
Oh, baby.
I'm throwing 2 out. It could be snatch based, but yeah, I'm going to go overhead squats and muscle ups.
I like the muscle ups. I think that's a really safe bet. The question is, this year, are we going bar or are we going ring muscle ups? So last year, I believe it was...
We had ring muscle ups last year.
Ring. What was the...
Did we have 2 muscle up workouts last year?
I thought so. I thought there were bar.
I think there was, ring was later on, like maybe week 4.
I know there was like a double under workout with bar muscle ups, right?
I think so.
What was it was like 50, it was like 100 double unders, overhead squats, 100 double unders, then
bar
muscle ups, double unders. Was that it?
Something like that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's vaguely coming back. And then there was, I don't think it was last year. There was the one with the light snatches and bar muscle ups, like 10 snatches at 75 pounds and
that was from like
muscle ups
3 years ago.
That was a few years ago. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't that one.
Yeah. So 18.3, 100 double unders, 20 overhead squats, 100 double unders, 12 ring muscle ups, 100 double unders, 20 dumbbell snatches, and then it was an AMRAP Oh yeah, and then back to
Right.
it was ring and bar muscle ups. Now
okay. That was.
Yeah, no wonder. It was some ring, some bar.
Oh.
Oh wait, no, it was ring. It was always ring. Sorry, it was ring muscle ups.
Okay.
The year before that, I think in 2017, that's when there was the bar muscle ups in week 3, I believe. Let's see.
Bar. Yeah,
nope,
there's been
wait,
a couple,
week 4.
years we've had bar muscle ups. Yeah.
No, wait, that wasn't week 4. Week 2?
Week 2, 2016.
Yep, that was
had
bar muscle ups.
Yeah,
Yes,
I remember that.
I think that's probably what I remember. Let's see, 2018, week 4 was the handstand deadlift workout. Week 2 was the burpee clean workout. Yeah, so it was 2 rounds for time, 100 dubs, 20 overhead squats, 100 dubs, 12 ring muscle ups, 100 dubs, 20 dumbbell snatches, 100 dubs, 12 bar muscle ups. Okay, so it was ring and bar muscle ups.
Yeah, so that was kind of the thing the idea, but we've already seen the doubles, so I don't think we'll see a repeat.
Yeah, we're not going to see a repeat there, but
something along those lines, maybe.
Definitely. Go ahead, Scott.
Though with those same things being comboed in, maybe I'd change my guess to some sort of a snatch with muscle ups.
Okay, maybe. I like that. I'm going to go. All right, so Smart Money says thrusters and burpees are going to be week 5. Leave it all on the line. Usually everybody loves a good suck fest, and it makes it so like everybody can do the final workout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems to be kind of the theme.
So that leaves us with deadlifts.
Yeah, we haven't seen deadlifts. This is true.
Bar or ring muscle ups, or both. Not burpees.
We haven't seen burpees.
Pull ups.
And we certainly haven't seen pull ups.
All right, Scott, we're going to do burpees this week.
Okay.
Burpees is this week. That's my move, and I'm calling it.
Awesome.
So I'm thinking it's probably going to be like 100 bar hop burpees, 30 muscle ups, or like 100 bar hop burpees, 50 deadlifts, 30 ring muscle ups for time.
Ooh, okay.
Something like that. And that's actually pretty similar to a master's workout where it was like 45 burpee bar hops, and then it was like 135 pound deadlifts, like another 45 of them, and then like 30 ring muscle ups. I think it's gonna be something like that, like 50, 40, 30 for time.
Maybe like 225 on the bar for a minute.
Yeah, something nice and light.
Yep. Good times.
Good times. So burpees over bar is my guess for this week, leaving the chest, the bar, and the thrusters for the final week. And that's what I'm sticking to, Scott.
Okay, we'll see.
We shall see in a few days. But we were definitely off last week. I think we're going to hit the money this week there, Scott.
Yeah, well, at some point, the process of elimination.
Exactly. Scott, how can we get you if we need to reach you?
I'm Scott at CrossFitPortland.com for me.
I'm Sean LaFlock, and you can get me at Sean at CrossFitDelrabeach.com. Guys, if you like this podcast, please consider subscribing, rate, and review, and we'll talk to you next week. Scott, take care, brother.
Take care as well.
Later, dude.
Stay cool. Later.
Stay warm. Later, man.